Bucchianico. In this small town overlooking the beautiful hills of Abruzzi, on May the 25th, 1550, was born Camillus de Lellis, the extraordinary man and saint, who put his life in the service of the most humble and suffering. The connection between Saint Camillus and his hometown was and will always remain strong. Several times during his life the saint returned there, leaving a deep spiritual heritage gathered by the order he founded, the Ministers of the Infirm. After 400 years after his last departure from Bucchianico, Saint Camillus de Lellis has returned to his hometown, where his body remained for a whole month. The emotions of his fellow citizens and the thousands of faithful who welcomed and worshipped him were extremely strong. It was the summer of 1612 when Camillus said goodbye for the last time to his Bucchianico, with the words, "Farewell, my homeland," full of nostalgic and emotional feeling. Death would have caught up with him 2 years later in Rome. The traces of this giant of charity are still visible everywhere in Bucchianico, such as the home of the noble soldier of fortune Giovanni de Lellis, his father recovered by the Camillans in 1704, and which soon became a place of uninterrupted pilgrimage. A small chapel where is kept a precious painting with the crucified Christ who comforts the saint is the stable where Camillus was born. It was the same 60-year-old mother, Camilla Compelli, who chose this place to let her son come into the world, like the child of Bethlehem. And as soon as he was born, she put him under the protection of St. Francis of Assisi, to whom she was very devoted. During her pregnancy, a dream filled her with anguish. A long row of children led by hers. She was sure that it would be a male child, and each one carries a red cross on the chest. The fear of Camilla is that her son would become a bandit leader. And a leader Camillus would become for real, but of a group of pious and honest men, that not for money but for love of God and with the love of a mother for her only sick son, would assist the poor and the sick. That which was misinterpreted as a baleful dream would turn out to be the emblem of the mission of St. Camillus in the church and in the world. A little higher up, the house overlooking the square of Bucchianico. There is the monastery desired by the saint and the sanctuary dedicated to him. In the cloister of the convent is located the well built by St. Camillus to supply water to the entire town. The workers called to build it wanted to use the pozzolan stone and not the sand commonly used in the area. It was St. Camillus to perform the miracle indicating the point where this material was to be found. Many others were the extraordinary episodes that characterized the construction of the sanctuary, which began in 1604. Among others, the sudden collapse that buried some workers during the demolition of an old crumbling building. St. Camillus, who rushed immediately to the spot, pointed to the exact point in which to dig, and the workers were all rescued completely unharmed. Inside the sanctuary and the convent of St. Camillus, the pulsing heart of Bucchianico, there are still important testimonies of the saint and his charisma.
We are now in the church the saint wanted to be built here in Bucchianico. We aren't usually in small towns because we are where the hospitals are, and the hospitals are located in large cities most of the times. The saint wanted the church here for a reason, because his religious, he said, could repair the scandals I gave during all my life. In fact, for 12 days before the feast of the saint, we go to all the districts, where 5,000 inhabitants on 38 kilometers of circumference, we bring the saint's relic throughout the town, doing catechesis, as we do during all the year actually, but those days we strongly intensify it. The saint couldn't see this church. You can see it as it has been renewed. The paintings were redone about 20 years ago, and the church has been wholly remade. The saint wasn't able to see it because he died before it was complete, but he could see the convent. Here on the altar, you can see the glass windows substituted 50 years ago, when all the church had been remade. It was quite different. Many things have been removed. I can't say if for better or worse to see it as you see it in this moment. One of the most important things to see is this statue coming from Naples. When we restored it, we found out, removing the painting, the B for blessed. Historians say it was made for the saint before he was proclaimed saint or blessed. The statue was there before, so they added the B when Camillus was beatified. Then the S on it, after the sanctification. Restoring the statue, we found out how it originally was, so we left it that way. On the right you can see a beautiful relic of the saint, the foot of the saint in a beautiful reliquary made about 10 years ago for the 400-year anniversary of the saint's presence here in Bucchianico. We made this reliquary with the foot of the saint fixing it. Furthermore, you can see other relics that the Church of St. Mary Magdalene, that is our mother house, gave us here in Bucchianico on loan for use. What you can see now is the crypt of the sanctuary. It was not born like this. These were the convent's dungeons. We do not know what there was in this place exactly. We just know that 50 years ago, considering also the limited space of the sanctuary, this crypt was made to have the space to perform church services. Here you can admire the beautiful simulacrum of the saint's body containing relics, and outside there's the beautiful relic of the saint's pericardium. Then there's a wonderful bust of the saint of the 18th century, a splendid relic of the saint's blood, in an awesome reliquary of the 18th century, made in Bologna, and a bandage that the devotees made for the saint, so he could actually bandage his legs. It's there, all stamped, to show that it is exactly the true bandage that the saint had been wearing. Here, if you get closer, you will see the beautiful relic of the saint's praecordia. All these things that you see around here is because of the couples bringing clothes, which we then give to the missions, or simply to anyone who wants them. They come here to worship the saint, to implore the saint's protection for their children. And so they bring here their children's clothes and recommend them to the saint to protect them from diseases. These are the convent's dungeons. We do not know which was the use of these rooms. Here we have the tomb of one of our clerics, died at the age of 24 in Rome, in the realm of sanctity. The image of the boy is his picture taken in the garden of Buissonnet. He was very devoted to Saint Teresa of the Child Jesus, and his superiors had sent him to Lourdes to pray to Saint Teresa of the Child Jesus to heal him. The Lord didn't want so in the end, but we have him here waiting for his beatification. The whole process has already been sent to the Vatican, and we're just expecting the go-ahead for the beatification. In this showcase, you can see some shoes of the saint. Here in the sanctuary, we have 3 of them. We bring one to the sick when they ask for it, with a little relic to pray. Then we have the saint's biography, the first biography written by his secretary, who also had been the general superior of the order, Sanzio Ciccatelli. And here we have the baptismal font of the saint, which was not here. It was in the police station in front of this building, the former church where Saint Camillus was baptized. Here we have the relics of two founders and of two of our blessed, Father Tezza and Father Rebuschini. Saint Camillus, as all the saints at that time, didn't found a female order, for the nuns were only intended to be behind the cloister, to live in seclusion, and could not serve the sick, as they indeed never came out. The association Fiaccola della Carità, or Torch of Charity, every year brings here in Bucchianico a weapon, because Saint Camillus is also the protector of the military health. It is a common use to offer the oil that burns in front of the simulacrum of the saint, to leave the jars here with oil inside, and then they are like ex votos, remaining here and exposed in memory of the Torch of Charity, and for all the pilgrims passing by. Here we have the model of the clothes of the first chameleons, which were of course made for horse riding. They wore boots, skirts were much higher, with a cloak, and the saint used to carry to the waist, as his biography tells us, all those things which you see, to be ready to come to the aid, to the needs of the sick. What you see here are the coffins where the saint rested for 250 years. Just died, the saint was placed in the ground in the Church of Mary Magdalene. But the Tiber, overflowing, had invaded the church, and when they exhumed the body, they discovered that the bones were worn and the flesh undone. So they picked up the bones from this very large wooden box. You can also see the bones were very long, and put them into this waterproof case, which is here in front of me, lifted off the ground, and it was no longer possible to know where the saint was buried. Finally, after many struggles with the fine hearts, we were able to open the caskets and see what was inside, and we have found the saint in this watertight case. This is the golden rose the military health of Rome brought to Saint Camillus, patron saint of military health. Here we have a model of an ambulance, because the Pope, when his grandchildren had gone to fight the Turks, had asked the chameleons as assistants, as first Red Cross on the battlefield, and the saint, sending his religious, had drawn a sketch of how the ambulances to transport the injured and to treat the wounded on the battlefield should be. This is the sketch of the statue in memory of the work Saint Camillus did at the Ca' Granda in Milan, which the Milanese have put upon the Milan Cathedral, and the Catholic nurses of Milan have brought the sketch here to the sanctuary.